All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Crypto World Radio. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Wabi. I'm here joined by our co-host Payne. Let me actually send Payne a co-host invite. Mr. Producer, if you can send him a co-host invite, that would be good. But yeah, we're
Appreciate it.
joined by Payne, and today's guest is going to be White Whale DeFi, and we also have the CTO Sencom, and also one of their devs, Sebastian. I know this protocol from the previous iteration on Terra V1, and just so our listeners are made aware, this Spaces is now being streamed via our YouTube channel, just as Mr. Producer said. So look forward to that. If you ever, you're not able to tune in on Twitter Spaces, you can also check us out on YouTube. And today it's going to be an AMA style interview with White Whale. And if anyone in the audience wants to come up and join in the conversation, if you're a fan of everything Cosmos and we're a fan of what they had on Terra, feel free to do so. So without further ado, I want to welcome up you guys to the show. We'll start off with Sen. Sen, how are you today, my man?
Hey, thank you very much. I'm doing great. Just a little correction on the formality. So Sebastian is in fact not a developer, but the founder and CEO of White Whale. So I'd like to give him the word first.
All right. That's what's up. Sebastian, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. Please, Sencom, continue. Now that we got the formalities straightened out.
Well, yeah, so I'm Sencom. I'm the CTO of White Whale. I've been working on the project for quite a while, not as long as Sebastian has. But yeah, so that's me.
Cool, cool. And Sebastian, how are you today, my man?
Doing great. Doing great. We're very excited. We're about to reach some key milestones and cross some thresholds here that I'm sure we'll be getting into. So we're very busy, right? We're all very busy, but we're also very excited.
All right. And for the individual managing the White Whale account, what's going on, my man? How are you feeling?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you for having us. I'm Ponzi Ninja, business development at White Whale. Yeah.
He also
Ponzi
helps with the
Ninja.
tokenomics.
That's a great name, man.
That's classic,
So-
man.
Ponzi Ninja also helps with the tokenomics, you know.
All right. Well, we can get into that. We can get into that. All right, guys. So I guess we'll start off by saying like, what are some of the key differences between the original deployment of White Whale and the current V2 deployment on Cosmos? Me and Sen had a conversation earlier this week how you guys are trying to build out your own chain on the Cosmos hub. So if you can share that to the audience to start off, that would be much appreciated.
Go ahead, Sencom.
Sure. So White Whale V1, so the application we had on Terra Classic, and White Whale V2, the application, and the vision we have now, it's completely different. So the White Whale V1 application, it was built around keeping the peg of the UST. So ironically, that didn't work out. We were live on mainnet, had a total TVL of around 40 million, but at the end, this wasn't enough to protect, billions, deca billions of dollars in movement. So that failed. And after the collapse of Terra Classic, there were many projects who just, dissolved, or some, even took whatever funds they have remaining and, disappeared. But we decided to continue building. So pretty much no one from the team left. We're still the old gang with some new faces in there. And we decided to pivot our model. So while in the aftermath of the crash, we had some period of silence, and we looked at where's the Cosmos and the blockchain ecosystem in general heading, and how can we build an attractive protocol or attractive system around this. And we foresaw that this interchain vision, or this multi-chain vision, where you don't have just one chain, you have many chains. This is the Cosmos vision, this is app chain theory, that this is going to be true in the future. So it's not only going to be Ethereum, the world computer, but in fact, a lot of different chains. And so we decided to build around that and build, an interchain protocol that now has its own chain.
Cool, man. That's awesome. And so my follow-up question, how was that pivot like? Like, during that moment of silence, how was that experience for you all? Were you guys looking to initially build Dot on Ethereum, or has the vision always been building out on Cosmos and helping facilitate what you guys originally wanted to do?
So during the crash, we were at ground zero. So we stayed up for days straight without sleep, and tried to continue working until the last block was minted and Terra Classic shut down. So after that, we obviously were quite exhausted. But and additionally, a lot of people from the team were Luna maxis or Terra maxis. They had a lot of funds in there, so everybody was. So the team was affected, as the company, the protocol, which was almost it was destroyed, but also the team took heavy hits. But nevertheless, we quickly recovered after just a week or two, and decided to keep shipping. So we have been heads down for almost a year now with no token. We've been just building stuff, building infrastructure, doing partnerships, deploying applications, and now it's time to flip the switch. Now our token went live last week.
Yeah, if I could just chime in here real quick, and I think Sen did a good job of covering sort of the sentiment and what was going on at that time. Different people have mixed reviews and kind of feelings towards Terra and Terra V1, right? And I get it that some people don't want to have anything to do with it and would think of us having our history kind of on Terra as sort of a negative or baggage. I really don't look at it that way at all, to be honest with you. That experience, right, that we had together as a team, right, all getting wrecked, basically a nuclear bomb dropping on our head, and we were right at ground zero, just like Sem said. We were there trying to protect the peg till the bitter end. Got wrecked personally, lost most of our treasury. But that really galvanized us as a team, right? And in crypto, you want resilient teams, so you can't teach that kind of experience. You can't buy that kind of experience, for less than $40 billion, right? You just can't. So I almost look at it and I take it almost as a badge of honor, right? And, the fact that we came through that, we retooled our model, and we kept building. I'm proud of it. Just to be frank, and I think it's made us one of the one of the elite teams on the Cosmos. If I could be so bold as to say that, and that's a big part of that is because of our shared history.
Sebastian, so my follow-up question to you is, what sort of applications can be built on top of White Whale? I know with my conversation with Sen, he was referring to Neutron when their chain goes live. It's almost an immediate transition where White Whale goes live on their chain. Would love to know more about that, sir.
Sure. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways we could go with this question, but I'll start here, right? So we're planning on adopting the Alliance module, right, which is one of the shared security modules that's coming out, on the Cosmos. And basically, if you're not familiar with it, what Alliance does, it allows you to whitelist any asset to be staked on your chain. So not only can you stake Whale to Migaloo chain, right? Which, by the way, Migaloo chain, just so everybody knows, Migaloo is our chain. We just launched it. It just went live last week. It is the newest blockchain on the Cosmos, right? We're the newest one. And our airdrop, our token isn't even live yet. It will be very soon, like in the coming days. But anyways, our chain is adopting the Alliance module, and what that does is it allows us to whitelist any token to be stakeable on Migaloo chain. So not only can you stake Whale, but you could also stake other Cosmos assets. Right now, it makes more sense to stake LSDs than just the native asset. So, for example, we have agreements with both Backbone Labs and Eris. They both issue LSDs. So B Luna, for example, and Amp Luna. So basically, if we whitelist B Luna, for example, and we allocate it 2.5% of our staking rewards of our chain inflation, if you stake B Luna to Migaloo chain, not only will you be earning the Luna staking rewards because that token auto compounds, but you also be earning the Whale staking rewards, right? So it allows DeFi users to effectively double dip, right, and earn staking rewards on two different chains. But it also opens up sort of an ocean of partnership and alliance opportunities. Okay, and we've already begun to see the power of that. So, for example, we just launched, and we haven't even been able to deploy our flagship DApp, the White Whale DApp, on Migaloo chain yet, and we already have Eris's protocol is live, right? And Backbone Labs, their Gravedigger protocol, will be live in the next couple days. So we have these two LSD protocols already live and running on our chain, and we have deals cut with them where they're going to be building out various sort of elements of DeFi elements on Migaloo chain. For example, Backbone Labs, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they have the Skeleton Punk NFT collection on Terra 2. So they're going to be deploying, they're going to be doing their own NFT collection on Migaloo chain. And basically these NFTs, you can stake them, and they're stakeable at their Gravedigger, and you can earn yield on the NFTs, right? So Backbone Labs is going to kind of kickstart our NFT scene, right, on Migaloo chain. So, those are just a couple things when we go live. And then on top of that, they're issuing their own Whale, versions of their LSDs, so B Whale and Amp Whale, and there's just unlimited, there's just so many things you could do with the LSDs, right? So lending protocols, right, borrowing and lending protocols. LSDs make great collateral because, again, you have this auto compounding token, so it opens up self-repaying loans and all kinds of things like that. So there's just a lot of activity right off the bat, I think, and we're gonna see that here start to kick in real quickly.
So is this very reminiscent of the Ohm token model, essentially?
No, we don't have too much to do with Ohm. So we have quite a unique tokenomic model, and I probably could talk about this for an hour straight. But just to get something straight first, so we are the White Whale team, and the White Whale team has just recently launched a permissionless chain in the Cosmos ecosystem where everybody can deploy and build applications. It's a permissionless chain, and the White Whale team is the core contributor to this chain and its ecosystem. At the same time, the White Whale team has developed the White Whale protocol, an application, and this application will be the flagship product of this permissionless chain that we just gave birth last week. So that's just for context. Sometimes we talk about the White Whale protocol, and sometimes we talk about the White Whale or the Migaloo chain. And those are two different things. Now, quick on the tokenomics here. So the tokenomic model of our chain is leaned on the Ethereum model. So we have a low predictable inflation of around 4%. At the same time, we will have various burn mechanisms that scale with activity on Migaloo, but also with trading activity on different chains to offset that inflation.
Payne, if you want to go ahead, brother.
Sorry, I just got a call. My bad. So is so like with the double staking, you'll be able to stake it on on Cosmos and on Ethereum, or I was just slightly confused about the double dipping staking.
Sure, yeah. So happy to explain it. All right, Sencom, you want to explain it?
I'm happy to explain it, yes.
Go for it.
So our chain and our application is for the time being strictly IBC ecosystem. So only blockchains that are connected via IBC. Right now, that's only the Cosmos, but we are very, eager to continue our work with Landslide, which connects the Avalanche ecosystem and the Cosmos ecosystem, and also with composable finance, which connects the Polkadot ecosystem with the Cosmos ecosystem. But real short, so it's only about Cosmos chains or IBC chains in that sense.
Okay, for sure, that makes sense. So
And
sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to ask or answer your second question about the double dipping staking, how that's going to look like. And it's actually quite easy. So we have a chain and you have a token, Whale. And you stake Whale. And as I said, we have this Ethereum tokenomic model with inflation of 4%. So you stake the Whale and you earn Whale inflation. At the same time, you will earn a basket of assets of the whole Cosmos ecosystem. So you stake Whale and you get the Cosmos. That's the idea of what we're trying to build here. So you stake Whale, earn inflation, and at the same time, you will start earning Atom, for example. So, and this dynamic, you stake Whale, earn inflation, and get different assets on top, will be captured in a liquid staking token. That's why Sebastian just said we have partnered with two different teams who just launched their liquid staking solution on our chain Megaloo. And then you have a token, a liquid Whale token that appreciates due to Whale inflation, but also earns you a basket of the whole Cosmos ecosystem. So it's like an ETF or something. And you can then, and this is the first staking, then you move this liquid staking token to different chains where we have the White Whale application live. So you can move this, for example, to, once it's live, Neutron. And then stake your liquid Whale on our application on Neutron. So the first staking happens on Megaloo, where you get inflation and this basket of assets from the Cosmos. And then you move this to any of our satellite markets where we have the White Whale protocol live, stake it there, and earn additional real yield that the application generates.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty cool idea. I mean, no one seems to be really doing this on Cosmos yet. And I'll also ask, like, what made you guys, I know you guys said you were early supporters of like Terra and you guys liked Cosmos, but what made you guys really like have conviction in the ecosystem and want to like stick over there?
So I can only speak or answer this question for me personally, but I think having just a single chain won't solve the scaling issue, even if you add layer 2s in. And it also doesn't, solve the customize issue. So with a Cosmos chain, you can really modify it to your needs. For example, DYDX, they will run their order book the validators will run the order book. So they can just really modify and tweak everything they need to create the best application, the best user experience, which they couldn't do on a monolithic large chain. And those are reasons why I believe this app chain vision will ultimately succeed. And don't get me wrong, I don't say Ethereum will die out or something. Not at all. So Ethereum will, continue to rip it, on a lot of different fronts. But at the same time, just like we have multiple computers in the world, right? Not just one computer. We will have multiple blockchains in the world. And that's why I think Cosmos is well positioned, especially with their IBC interoperability protocol that connects these blockchains. And with those two things, I think the Cosmos ecosystem is really well positioned to capture a lot of growth in the next, year or two.
I guess we can follow up with the next question is what are some things that White Whale is helping contribute towards other teams? Like, are you guys in the talks with like other protocols? Like, I know Dimension is building out things in Cosmos. Same thing with Celestia. Are you guys working closely with other teams that want to build out these innovations, or you guys strictly just focus on launching on chains like Neutron, things like that? Like basically helping out in contributing to things like code and new features and things of that nature, because I know with Cosmos a lot of devs like they work with each other, so it's kind of like a team effort, whereas on Ethereum it's more like, all right, this team focuses on what they're doing and not so much paying attention to what other teams are doing. It's kind of like really like solitary. It's a solitary effort. Whether it's Cosmos, teams help out each other all the time, and that's one thing that I've always enjoyed about Cosmos. It's sort of like a team collaboration.
Yeah, you're right. It totally is. Now, as the Cosmos grows, obviously, communities and developers fracture a little bit. But still, I think White Whale is in a unique position where we are arguably one of the best connected teams in the whole ecosystem, just by virtue of having our satellite markets on different chains, like on Injective or Juno or Terra. So we have a lot of different entry points into the ecosystem, and we try to support the teams, the different chains and ecosystems and communities on the whole tech or stack. So we run validators. So we run infrastructure, participate in governance, we deploy our application there, we bring in liquidity, community, but we also have a lot of contributions even on top of this. So we, for example, just open sourced our MEV bot for arbitrage. We open sourced this and are building or hosting workshops, and we're starting to really grow a very nice and powerful developer community that contributes to our open source code that ultimately benefits the whole ecosystem. And at the same time, we have great developers on the team who, for example, help Confio, the guys who develop CosmWasm, and so on.
And how exactly do those arbitrage bots work? If you don't mind going into detail, would love to learn more about that mechanism.
Of course. So the White Whale protocol, it contains satellite markets on different chains, like on Injective, like on Terra, and also soon on our own chain. And these satellite markets of White Whale, they consist of a DEX, Uniswap style, AMM, you can LP, withdraw, get incentives, swap, that kind of things. And also flash loan vaults. For those of you from Ethereum, like Aave offers, and a flash loan, it's essentially there's money available in a contract, and for a single transaction, you can just take all of that money, no matter how large the sum is. You can just take it, do whatever you like with it, and pay it back. So, and arbitrage is a great use case of this, because for arbitrage, you need price inefficiencies in an ecosystem. Let's say you have two DEXs, and one whale fat fingers on the one DEX and shoots up the price of an asset. Then the price of the same asset on the other DEX is still unchanged. So you can, in theory, buy low on the one DEX and sell high on the other. And that's exactly what arbitrage is about. So you try to look for opportunities where there is, price inefficiencies or price differences. And then as soon as these price differences come up, you try to trade them. So buy low, sell high. And this happens, in a single transaction. So you get some money, buy low, sell high, and then you get your principal back with some money on top. And for this, you can use flash loans, because why would you, keep hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting idle around, just waiting for something to happen, when you can put that money to use somewhere else and just take the money whenever you need it as a flash loan?
And my next follow-up question is for Sebastian. Sebastian, we've touched a little bit on, the process from V1 to V2 and all that sort of stuff with tokenomics and technicals with Sen. So I'd love to know a little bit about more on yourself. How did you come across crypto, and how was that process like in becoming a founder of a protocol?
Yeah, sure. So I'm crypto class of 2017, right? Those were the old days, right? Jihan Wu, John McAfee, right? Da Hong Fei, Justin Sun, right? Like, if you know, you know, right? But I ran a business in real life, right? IRL, in the U.S. for about 12 years. But crypto was always my first love and a hobby, and I was always really into it. So COVID was kind of the excuse that I needed to just go full time into crypto. I was big into the Terra V1 community. I was very much a lunatic. And looking for ways that I could get involved, however it may be. And I remember, it's kind of a Cinderella story. I just tweeted out one day an idea for a protocol that basically would decentralize, and open up keeping of the USD peg to regular retail normies, right? Normal crypto investors. And it's basically effectively what it was just a vault that people could deposit UST into. The UST was parked into Anchor Protocol, and then it was withdrawn and used to arbitrage whenever there was an arb opportunity or a DPEG or anything like that. So it's a very simple idea, right? But it attracted a lot of attention, and people began reaching out to me. Devs began reaching out, TFL, right? And all of a sudden I had a project, so it just poof, here's a project, right? So that's the short version of it. But I would say this too. I would add on to this, and this is kind of a comment on the last point as well with arbitrage and semcom. We learned a lot about arbitrage in our V1 building, right? And arbitrage is a very important element in DeFi. Okay, it's across the board in DeFi. It stabilizes prices, right? Arbitrage stabilizes prices, across multiple exchanges and basically wherever there's liquidity and volume, right? So we need the searchers and we need the arbors, right? So what we've done, as opposed to trying to be the arbors ourselves, right, and kind of put that in at the protocol level, that's what we were doing in V1. In V1, we were the arbors, so we're competing then, in basically a first in, first out, a winner take all, first come, first serve system. We're trying to compete with all these arbors. What we've transitioned to now is we've open sourced our bot. We've open sourced these flash loans. We've planted these flash loan vaults on multiple chains across the IBC, on Injective, on Juno, on Terra, right? So basically, we're building out the infrastructure across the Cosmos for it to be easy for these ecosystems to be arbed against each other, right? That's what we're doing. So we're building the roads, right? We're building the roads and bridges across the IBC, across the chains. So you don't have to have capital parked on every chain, like Sencom said. It's, there's no capital requirements, and there's really not much dev requirements either, right? To plug into our bot. So we want to kind of democratize and open up arbitrage, to the greater dev community, right? Because we saw some things on Terra too, right? Basically, we saw was a couple well-funded, aggressive parties taking all of the MEV, taking all of the arbitrage capital, in the dark, right? Nobody knew who they were. They were like a shark out of nowhere that came and we're talking millions and millions of dollars just taking all of the MEV. And really that's not healthy, right? That's a point of such centralization, because what if it's no longer in their interest to do that, right? So we want to sort of democratize and open up the entire ARB game, right? That's kind of also at the core of what we're doing here. So I know that was kind of a tangent, but felt like it was needed to be said.
Do you guys have any plans to build out an EVM to perhaps roll out some of those features that you're building on Cosmos onto Ethereum, or perhaps things that are built on Move like Sui and Aptos?
In general, yes, we are looking for new frontiers at all times. Really, right now, there are only two requirements. One is we need an IBC connection. So that's the interoperability protocol, and we really need this because otherwise the tokens can't move between the chains. But this is going to, open up a lot in the future. So with various teams working on integrations with Near, with Avalanche, with Polkadot, and also with Ethereum, I think this will change and really open up for us in the next during this year. The second requirement we have is on the contract level. So right now our contracts are written in Rust, which is used in the Cosmos ecosystem, and porting this to Solidity is possible. Obviously, it just requires some work. And I think as soon as there are IBC connections to Ethereum, I think it's really worth to dig into this and start porting contracts to the EVM.
And a bit of a question. It's a rising concern within the Cosmos community. So currently, with something like Osmosis, right, they bond all the liquidity within the ecosystem to the Osmo token. So I wanted to know if if that raises some concern for you guys, because like it seems that everyone is currently sort of fading the danger of a potential of a potential like liquidity attack within the Cosmos hub. Wanted to know if you guys see any solutions towards that, being that you guys are not only devs but have experience working behind the scenes with things concerning this.
That's a great question. And indeed, Osmosis could be classified as a systemic risk for the Cosmos ecosystem right now on two levels. So first, as you said, everything is paired against Osmo. So there's that risk, but also the risk is more structural. So all of 90% of the liquidity of the Cosmos is parked on the Osmosis chain. Should the chain ever go down or get hacked, and both has happened in the past. So Osmosis got hacked, funds have been exploited, and the chain went down. In that case, 90% of the liquidity is stuck and frozen on Osmosis for God who knows how long. So it is a centralization. So first and foremost, it's a centralization of liquidity issue, and with that, you have risk issues. For example, through exploits or chain halts. And the solution, ironically, is White Whale, because while Osmosis tries to centralize liquidity on their own chain, and it does right now, White Whale tries to decentralize the liquidity. That's why we have all of these satellite markets. We have 5 DEXs right now on different chains. So our vision is not to have every liquidity on the Megalu chain. Our vision is to have liquidity wherever it's needed in the Cosmos. So every blockchain that needs liquidity should have their liquidity. And we're just trying to build the aqueduct system between the chains so that liquidity, think of it really like an aqueduct system that moves water between cities. And really, that's what we're trying to build, that liquidity can flow where it's needed. And if one chain goes down, then so be it. Or if there's an export on one chain, then there's no systemic risk anymore. But really good point.
Yeah, I see we're a little bit above the halfway point. We've only got like about 10 minutes or so left. If anyone is in the audience and you just came into the space, my name is Wabi. I host the crypto specific content here at Because Bitcoin. If you're enjoying this conversation, feel free to follow us and turn on bell notifications so you can be made aware of when these spaces go live. I do not have a predetermined time of whenever I host these spaces. All the spaces that I do with our guests are 100% tailored to their time zone and scheduling constraints. So that's why I always encourage you, if you're listening to the spaces on an active basis, to always turn on bell notifications whenever you do decide to follow us. And once again, if you want to come up, give any statements, ask any questions, feel free to turn on that request to speak button. Should be at the bottom left corner, and I'll bring you right up. And we're having an AMA with one of the founders of White Whale, their CTO, and the individual that is behind the White Whale profile. And this is an AMA type of discussion, so please, if you decide to come up, make your statement or question brief. But I do see that we have a good friend of the show, Dow Chemist, great individual that always adds great value to these conversations. What's going on, my man?
What's up, Dal? How's it going?
Hey, how you guys doing, man? Doing great. This conversation is really interesting because I love the IBC ecosystem of Cosmos, and there's always this conversation of comparing rollups and app chain. So I would love to hear from White Whale, like, what's your take on this conversation? How do you see the Cosmos ecosystem in general playing a role in that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, my question was, there's a lot of narrative between, I would say, like the roll-up model, which is like, I guess, like a, hey, we just want to have a layer 2 on top of mainnet. And then there's also like the app chain model, which is to say, let's say I'm a DYDX and I want to have control over my chain, then I can just deploy my own chain, right? Using like the Cosmos SDKs. So I think there's usually like a, maybe not two camps, but like two different vision of how we grow the ecosystem. So I would love to hear your take on. Maybe you guys already touched on this, but I've just kind of come a little bit lately. So love to hear your take on that. What's your opinion on those two narratives?
Yeah, sure. I'll start this one. It looks like CENTCOM is having some connectivity issues, but maybe he'll jump in at the end or something. So, here's my 2 cents for what it's worth on on app chains and the different L2s and all of the different possibilities. I mean, one, we're still early in all of that, right? In the concept of app chains, right? And this whole Cosmos SDK, where you basically almost have a plug and play blockchain that you can jumpstart fairly easily, right? So I think we need to just wait and see kind of how all of this plays out, and that's what we're doing. Like we're watching, we're keeping our ear to the ground very closely and kind of watching the space develop, but we're also pioneering some specific things too, in the sense that like the alliance module, right, that we're adopting is one of these sort of new frontiers where you can kind of share security. You could form alliances and share security with different other IBC assets, right, to secure your chain and to work together and make sure everything, everything's running smoothly and you're growing together. But I'll say this. As far as app chains go, I'm not super bullish on the idea of app chains personally. I'm more of the opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, that if you're going to have validators, right? You're going to go through the trouble of launching a blockchain, right? Have a validator set, manage the validators, right? And spin this up. You might as well be an ecosystem, right? You might as well be a smart contract ecosystem. That's just where that's where I'm at, and I think we're beginning even to see some pivots. You know, we've discussed osmosis here a little bit. I mean, you're even seeing them kind of pivot and become more of an ecosystem, right? And hint at they want to become more of an ecosystem, not just an app chain. So I think we're going to see some movement in that direction next, where with the app chain thing kind of kind of fades a little bit, and then people begin to realize, like, okay, if we're going to start a chain, we might as well build an ecosystem around this chain.
Payne, if you want to follow through, I know you were going to follow up with a question before Dow was brought on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's pretty cool that you guys are doing this, because I mean, there's no other person, or like not person, but protocol, sorry, that's like kind of bridging the gap between different dexes. And now that you've explained it in the sense of like trying to decentralize liquidity, I think that's really important, because there's no need to just have it all be on one dex. And just the fact that it's the fact that you guys are the first people to do it, and it's still, like, I consider pretty early on Cosmos. That's pretty interesting, and compelling to me. And I think that you guys are going to do great as far as just having the first mover advantage, and then like, you guys all seem like you really know your stuff and are a great team. So yeah, I just wanted to chime in and just say that after hearing it explained, I think that it's a really good pitch, and it's a pretty awesome protocol.
Thank you, appreciate that. Go ahead, Sencom, you got your hand up.
Yeah, Payne, I'd just like to comment on what you just said. So one of the arguments that's frequently thrown in our way is, hey, if you decentralize liquidity, you create fractioned liquidity, where you can't do whale swaps anymore because pool liquidity is shallow, which is true to an extent. But really, where we see this thing going, the whole ecosystem, is that at the end of the day, you will have DEX aggregators that split your swap and distribute it to different DEXs. So you not only get routed through the best DEX, but you get the whole package. One swap is translated to 100 swaps, and everything just aggregates, and you get the best price really for the whole ecosystem you can get. And that's where we think this is going. And if we are at this step, where for the user it doesn't matter where is the DEX, because he just uses these sophisticated DEX aggregators, then it's really about managing risk for the liquidity, for the LPers, for the ecosystems, because then there's really no argument to have liquidity in just one place. You can have it in multiple. And it's more about making efficient movements possible, and building this infrastructure out that you can actually decentralize the liquidity.
Yeah, like, I was pretty big. I haven't used too many, like, I never used Luna or Cosmos too much. I had a Kepler wallet and like staked Juno and stuff last year, and like that was basically the extent of my Cosmos usage. I was really big into DeFi on ETH in like 2020 when it first dropped, and then as time progressed, just stuck with it. And that's kind of like, I would say, my quote unquote home base or whatever. But I think that like, after you guys explained it, it's kind of like cow swap or something, where it's just an aggregator that gives you the best price. And I think that the argument for the fractionalized liquidity is I don't think that's a good argument, because at the end of the day, it's probably not good to have it all centralized. So um yeah, I would just say you guys are building something really cool.
just wanted to add to this conversation and say that our good friend Cosmos Joe is going to be releasing his interview with White Whale in about 20 minutes. I put that up on the Nest. In case you guys don't know, Cosmos Joe is now a good friend of the show. And I know I say that a lot, good friend of the show, right? So when it pertains to our friends of the show, we like to show support. And so feel free to check that out. It's up on the Nest. Joe is a very good value contributor to the overall Interchain ecosystem. And I'm excited to check that out. So if you guys want to check out more in depth with what White Whale has going on, feel free to check that out. It's going to drop in about 20 minutes. And yeah, so I guess we'll start wrapping up here and say that right after the space is concluded, you can check out the replay up on our YouTube channel. And you can also check out some of our prior spaces recordings for the week. We've hosted Garlemwan this week. We've hosted Ben Cowan this week, and also Cosmos Joe. And today we have White Whale. Some pretty cool stuff here, like what they're building out on Cosmos. And one thing that's all Cosmos projects have in common is their sleek UI and pretty good front end, and that I think that's pretty important to bring in more users to crypto in general. UX is always and should always be the top priority. So I guess with the last question before we close up the space, and again, if anybody in the audience is enjoying this content, feel free to follow us here because Bitcoin. I host these spaces almost every day. But just a little bit of announcement. I will be cutting back on the amount of spaces I hold throughout the week, given some private stuff in the background. And but we're going to have a lot more quality. Like we'll be having GMX on the show, Say Network on the show, and a few other upcoming protocols. So a lot more quality and some pretty exciting stuff for you guys for Crypto World Radio. We're still going to keep the AMA spirit alive, have these spaces more educational instead of just overall discussion. I find that more along the lines of quality instead of quantity. That's what I want to focus on moving forward. So with that being said, if anyone wants to come up, give any last statements, questions, feel free to do so. But in the meantime, I want to ask the overall team this question. Sebastian can answer it. The White Whale profile can answer it, or Sen can answer it. I wanted to ask: have you guys started to see any effort as far as mobile integration is concerned? I think that's sort of a very key milestone for Web3 in general. It's all about like the mobile integration, right? Like most of us, we do our work. We could do our work through an iPhone now. I find that there's going to be a mass migration from like the desktop setting towards a fully automatic mobile experience.
It's cooking. That's all I can say. So it's cooking. We'll have it soon.
All right, cool.
Great to hear.
So with that being said, I want to thank the audience for coming and supporting us. I want to thank all of our speakers. I want to thank you for coming up as always. I want to thank Sebastian, White Whale, and Sen. Feel free to follow all of our speakers. And
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you again. I'll see you all on Monday. So have a nice weekend, everyone. Take care, and God bless you all.
All right. Thanks, sir. Thanks for having us.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
The trading current is just math. It's just math. It has a 95.45% hit rate when we deviate outside of CP2 and CN2. All you had to do is recognize that 95% of the time when we get over here, under this blue line, we get some sort of mean reversion. So let's just assume you long right here. 95 out of 100 times, when I buy this, I'm gonna get some sort of bounce. It's just math. Look what would have happened as we move up. Look at the bounce that came after. And now look where we are. If you had just blindly followed the current, you take all emotions out of it, and you say, I'm going to trust the statisticians, you would have bought Dow Jones somewhere down here under 30,000. You know, depending on how you want to measure it from absolute top to bottom, 20% move. We also have multi-time frame alerts. You don't even have to be at your computer on TradingView. You can ping your phone. Now, the current has some really awesome features, and I would urge you guys to join our Discord to get access to it. We give it away for free as a tool to the community. It's just math. There's really no need to overcomplicate things, not even in the slightest.